When I was younger, 40 felt so far away, like a number that belonged to the moms and aunties and women who had their lives all figured out. I can still remember throwing my mom her 30th birthday. She was a really young mom, done having kids by 21, and I was old enough to help plan the party. I even helped throw her 40th. And when I think about those moments now, it blows my mind that when I had Genevieve, my mom was only 47. Back then, 40 felt like the top of the hill, like life had peaked and the rest was coasting down. But standing in it now, 40 doesn't feel like a decline. It feels like depth. Like I've spent the last 2 decades building my life brick by brick. And now I get to look around and say, okay, what do I want to build next? Hey friend, I'm Jessica, and this is With My Whole Heart. I'm a real-life woman juggling a lot of real-life things, raising girls, running a hair salon, chasing big dreams, and doing my best to stay grounded through it all. If you've ever found yourself in the thick of it, somewhere between who you've been and who you're becoming, this space is for you. Here, we talk about the middle, the messy, meaningful, beautiful middle. The big leaps, the small wins, the hard lessons, and the heart-led pivots. From business and beauty to faith, motherhood, and everything in between, nothing's off limits. So grab your coffee or your tea, get cozy, and let's dive in. Because this journey, we're walking it together with our whole hearts. For me, I honestly thought turning 40 would be harder. I expected more sadness, maybe even some grief. But the reality is I'm ready, like really ready. Of course, there are still those little moments of, holy heck, how did I get here? But overall, I feel strong, I feel confident, and I feel more like myself than I have in years. Physically, I feel better than I felt in decades. I've had hip surgery, I've had 3 babies, I've walked through seasons where my body didn't feel like my own, but now I feel strong again. I can move my body, I can run, I can chase after my kids without too much pain. And sure, there's a little flabby skin, stretch marks, a few more aches and pops. And let's be honest, I don't recover like I used to, but I feel really good. I feel healthy, and I'm proud of the body I'm in. It's carried life, endured loss, and still shows up for me every single day. Emotionally and mentally, it's been a journey too. I've had to walk through some of the hardest things I've ever faced in my life. Grief, anxiety, trauma, moments that made me question everything. And I'm not ashamed to say I needed help. I sought therapy, I leaned on support, I took my mental health seriously. Because if I've learned anything in the last few years, it's that healing isn't passive. You have to show up for yourself, even when it's messy, especially when it's messy. That support, that work, that willingness to be seen and cared for, it's allowed me to step into this new season with both feet planted. Not perfectly, but powerfully. There's a quiet strength that comes when you've been broken and rebuilt. And that's what I feel in my 40s. Not invincible, but grounded. Not polished, but whole. Not striving, but anchored. And that's a version of me I'm proud to meet. There's been this quiet little nudge lately to reconnect with parts of my younger self that I lost somewhere along the way. And one of the biggest pieces, playfulness. It's not that I don't laugh, I do, but this past decade, I've definitely taken life a little more seriously. Between building a business, raising 3 girls, and navigating some really heavy seasons, I've been in go mode for so long. And now I'm ready to soften a little, to be playful again, to do things just for fun, to let joy lead more often, not just responsibility. At the same time, I've also been doing some intentional releasing, letting go of pieces that no longer feel aligned, And one of the most freeing things I've been shedding is caring what people think. What's interesting is that I used to not care that much. I've always been pretty confident in who I am, but I'll be honest, social media changed that. When your life, your voice, and your work are on display, you start to hear the opinions you never even asked for. There are people who will slide into your DMs just to pick you apart. Other salon owners in the same industry who act like they want community, but are really watching for you to misstep, ready to tell you what you're doing wrong or try to cancel you for showing up as yourself. And sometimes it's not even about what you said, it's that you dared to say anything at all. But here's where I've landed. I don't want to live in fear of being misunderstood. I'm not here to make everyone comfortable. I'm here to be real, to be kind, and to be rooted in purpose. And if that rubs someone the wrong way, that's not my responsibility. I'm not trying to be everyone's person. I'm not living for outside approval. Of course, I never want to be offensive or hateful, but I also know I'm not for everyone, and I'm okay with that now. I am who I am. If you vibe with that, amazing. And if not, that's totally fine. You don't have to engage with anything I do. You can slide on past. It's actually kind of beautiful to be in a season of life where I'm not chasing connection, but welcoming it if it aligns. If someone new comes into my life and we become best friends, wonderful. But if not, I've got my people. I've got my peace, and I'm not willing to trade either just to feel accepted. Something about dreaming at 40 just hits different. In my 20s, I was surviving, but I was also in love. We were young, full of hope, and building a life from scratch. There was something magical about that season, the simplicity, the possibility. It felt like the whole world was out there, even if most of it felt completely out of reach. We didn't have much, but we had each other. There was joy in the little things, and even though we were living paycheck to paycheck, and there were moments where I had to call my mom to help keep the electricity on, there was still this undercurrent of belief that something bigger was waiting. Looking back now, I can see just how simple that season really was, and that's the beauty of growth. When you're in it, it feels chaotic and heavy, but in hindsight, you realize how much peace lived in the simplicity. And now in my 40s, that's something I'm longing for again. Not the struggle, but the clarity, the slower pace, the quiet. In my 30s, that belief turned into action. I dreamed about building, about growing, about giving my family a life that felt stable and spacious, and I did it. I built hustle and heart. I created opportunities for my team and experiences for my family that younger me only ever dreamed about. I showed my daughters what it means to go after something with your whole heart, and I did it with everything I had. But now, I'm dreaming with more clarity, more peace, and more structure. It's not about proving anything anymore. It's about alignment with my purpose, with my faith, and with the kind of life I actually want to live. It's not hustle for the sake of hustle. It's building from a place of wholeness and intention. And part of that intentionality is making a move that might not look linear from the outside. To some, it may even look like a step back or sideways. But to me, it feels like a step forward, a step back into alignment. For the past 3 years, I've had a salon concierge managing the front of the house so I could free up space in my life. Not just physical space, but mental and emotional bandwidth. So I could grow the team, lead with vision, and navigate some big personal seasons. My kids were still young, they still are, and I needed that margin to manage life, grief, growth, and leadership. But now that she's moving on, I've made the decision to step back into that role, not because I have to, but because I want to, and I'm actually really excited. I'm excited to tighten things back up, to lead from the front, and to get my hands back in the day-to-day experience we offer our guests. Because truthfully, some of those systems have slipped, not out of neglect, just out of shift. And I'm ready to bring it back into alignment. I'll be behind the chair one day a week, and the rest of the time I'll be at the front, helping with check-ins and checkouts, strengthening our pre-booking process, supporting our guests with retail solutions they actually need, and just reconnecting with the heart of what we do. It's structure, it's presence, it's purpose. And while it might not look flashy or next level from the outside, I know deep down it's exactly the next right thing in this season. And as I was processing all of this, everything I've walked through, everything I've let go of, and everything I'm stepping into, it felt right to put it into words. So I wrote a little letter, not just to my 40s, but to myself, to the woman I've become, to the one I'm still becoming. Dear 40s, I'm not afraid of you. In fact, I'm kind of in awe of you. You've already taught me that growth doesn't have to be loud to be powerful, that healing doesn't always look like a breakthrough. It often looks like boundaries, stillness, and showing up even when it's hard. You've taught me that confidence isn't about being the most seen, it's about being the most secure. That success isn't about always climbing, it's about knowing when to stay rooted. That alignment will always be more sustainable than ambition alone. I'm entering this decade with my eyes open and my heart soft. I'm not chasing, I'm not forcing, I'm not trying to be who I was 10 years ago. I'm letting joy lead again. I'm returning to play. I'm creating space to breathe. I'm choosing presence over pressure, purpose over popularity, and faith over fear. And maybe the most freeing part of all, I'm letting people misunderstand me if they need to. I'm not explaining myself to earn approval. I'm not available for anything that asks me to shrink. This decade, I want my life to be marked by peace. And not the kind the world gives, but the kind that comes from knowing who I belong to. I want to walk in confidence, not just from within myself, but because I know I'm being led by something greater. I want to create, speak, serve, and lead, not to be impressive, but to be obedient. Because I know that when I surrender control, God does his best work. And I'm tired of trying to carry things he never asked me to hold. So here's to the 40s, to simpler rhythms, stronger roots, and sacred alignment, to quiet mornings, faithful steps, and a life that points back to him. I'm ready for you. So if you're listening to this and you're on the edge of your own milestone, whether it's turning 40, navigating a new season, or just feeling the pull to come back to yourself, I want you to hear this. You're not behind. You're not late, and you're not alone. There is no timeline for healing, no perfect pace for growth, and no version of success that's worth chasing it if it costs you your peace. You're allowed to evolve. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to feel everything and still move forward with grace. You don't have to prove yourself. You don't have to be anyone other than who God made you to be. So if this episode stirred something in you, I just want to take a moment to pray over you as we close. God, thank you for every woman listening right now, for her heart, her story, her timeline. Thank you for the seasons that shape us and the grace that carries us through. I pray peace over her mind, strength in her spirit, and clarity in the spaces where she's been feeling stuck. Remind her that she doesn't have to figure it all out to move forward. She just has to walk with you. Let her feel seen, safe, and supported. And let her know she's not behind. She's right on time. Amen. Thank you for holding space with me today. Here's to 40 and all the beauty that's still ahead. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Your time is valuable, and I'm honored you spent it here. I hope something in this conversation met you right where you are. If it stirred something in your spirit or spoke to your heart, I'd truly love to hear about it. My DMs are always open. I love connecting with you. And as you go, just remember, you're not walking through this life alone. Until next time, stay grounded, keep showing up, and keep leaning into the purpose that's been placed on your heart. I'll be right here, cheering you on with my whole heart.